Money in the Bank is just a few days away. We are literally just mere days from arguably one of the most historic Money in the Bank PLEs in history. Excuse me. And there is a lot to discuss in today's video, which is why for this video it is all about my predictions for Money in the Bank. But before we get started, I do want to give you guys a heads up that we are now 81 subs away from hitting 500 subs. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell, because literally more than 90% of you guys are watching the content, but you guys aren't even subscribed. So we want to get that all the way down to 0%. So if you guys are new to the channel and you guys love the content and want more of it, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that thumbs up button on this video, and be sure to follow me on all of my social media. All of my ats will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well, if you guys want to send me fan mail and want to see me open it up here on the channel. With that being said, let's get straight to it with the Women's Intercontinental Championship rematch from Backlash between the champ Lyra Valkyria and the man Becky Lynch. This rivalry has escalated to heights we never expected. This goes all the way back to Halloween Havoc in 2023. This goes back 2 years. Think about that. This goes back almost 2 years between Lyra and the man. At first the rivalry between the two, at first it was just mere business. It was mere business. It was all about the title and friendly competition. Now it's gotten to a point where it just escalated to how personal it's become, which it got very personal at WrestleMania when Becky Lynch admitted that she attacked Bayley to get herself into the match at WrestleMania, which obviously led to them winning the women's tag team titles, dropping them the very next night, and then having the match at Backlash. Obviously at Backlash, Lyra got lucky, but this time she might not be so lucky, because this is arguably one of the biggest matches of her career on the main roster, because of the fact that this is a much more different version of Becky Lynch than Lyra faced at Halloween Havoc back in October of 2023. It's weird because Becky Lynch won the title on NXT just a few months prior in the summer. And it's weird because Lyra Valkyria was a very, very dominant champion in NXT before ultimately dropping the title to Roxanne Perez last year at Stand and Deliver in Philly. So this rivalry, it's gotten to a point now where this is beyond. This is just based on beyond championships and business. This is very heated. This got very heated, very personal, really quickly, and I have no doubt in my mind that Becky Lynch is going to exploit all of Lyra's weaknesses come this Saturday. So I've got no doubt in my mind, it ain't gonna be pretty. Trust me, it ain't gonna be pretty whatsoever. But think about this. Lyra Valkyria has 2 victories over the man. So imagine if Becky Lynch did win. It wouldn't matter, because because even though Becky Lynch won the match and the title, Lyra Valkyria basically has two victories over Becky Lynch, and would use that against Becky to get a rematch. But if Lyra Valkyria wins, that's it. It's game over. And who knows? Maybe the third time will be the charm for Lyra, but the third time could also be the charm for Becky Lynch, because the two times that Lyra and Becky faced each other, Becky lost. Maybe this time things will be different. Is it possible? Absolutely, but we will have to wait and see this Saturday. So my money, if I was a betting man, I would probably put my money on the champ herself, because I truly believe that ring rust for Becky Lynch has definitely came into play after being gone for a whole year, literally an entire calendar year. I think honestly Becky's time is up. So I think Lyra Valkyria winning is definitely the way to go, creatively speaking. But if we're being completely honest here, I think it's Becky that needs the win, because of the fact that Chelsea Green, when you look at Chelsea Green and the women's United States title, she held that title for an incredible, four, 5, 6, almost like what 7, almost 7 months, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly, I believe it was over 5 months. Um, that's if I can. Let's see. Here we are, championships. Let's see. Women's U.S. title. So, the longest reign for the women's U.S. title again is obviously 131 days. So she held the title since December. So December, January, February, March, April. So 4 months. So about 4 months. Chelsea Green has held on to the title. That was how long her reign was. Zelina Vega now is the current champion, and she's been champion for over a month, almost 2 months, and even she's been a hell of a champion, hell of a champion. Both of them have been. Lyra Valkyria has held her title for 100 has currently held her title for 141 days. So it buys into the question of, is it the right time for Lyra to drop the title? And honestly, I think the answer is yes. Because if there was one person that I could see taking the title off of Lyra, it would have to be Becky. But this is Lyra's very first singles championship ever on the main roster. So what better way to continue her legacy than by defeating the man? Is it possible? Absolutely. Is it gonna happen? Only time will tell. But now we move into what will be arguably the biggest main event in the history of Money in the Bank. And this is the third year in a row that a tag team match will main event Money in the Bank. The first was obviously the Bloodline Civil War between the Usos and of course Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Last year was obviously the new Bloodline versus the team of Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton. This time, it is the former, sad to say, former WWE champion and the current World Heavyweight champion. I am talking about the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, Yeet, and hashtag Yeet. Main event Jey Uso against the WWE champion John Cena and Logan Paul. There's so much to unpack with this matchup, because for one, Cody's first major match in WWE overall was against John Cena. Then of course, obviously, Cena has had a lot of history with the Usos over the years, including the Raw after WrestleMania, include I believe the Raw 25th anniversary, where we saw John Cena completely roast the holy shit out of the Usos, bringing up their criminal history, if you will. So that was kind of funny. And then, of course, Logan Paul, his match with Cody Rhodes last year at Night of Champions, if I remember right. Night of Champions last year? Yeah. Night of Champions last year. It was the United States champion versus the WWE champion for said WWE title. Logan Paul and Cody Rhodes. And then, of course, this past April, John Cena and Cody Rhodes in the main event of night 2 for the WWE title. Logan Paul wanted the World Heavyweight Championship at Saturday night's main event a couple weeks ago. That completely backfired because of John Cena and then Cody Rhodes getting involved. So there was a lot to unpack with this match, but this is huge because Cody Rhodes and Logan Paul, actually all four of these guys have a lot at stake, because imagine what happens if Cody Rhodes pins John Cena. If that happens, Cody Rhodes gets his rematch for said WWE title, which could potentially happen at SummerSlam, which is something that a lot of fans are expecting to see as part of John Cena's farewell tour, which it could happen, but I think at this point in time, we don't know. Now, imagine what happens if Logan Paul pins Jey Uso. Logan Paul gets another shot at the World Heavyweight title. If Cena pins Jey, Cena has an opportunity to do something that we never thought we would ever see again, and that is see a match where both of the world titles were on the line, unifying both titles. We hadn't seen that in a while. So, but imagine if Jey Uso pins John Cena. Everybody, if one person pins the other, that person has a chance to become a champion at some point. This is probably one of the most heated rivalries we had ever seen. But also think about this. Cody and Jey were once tag team champions. In fact, if you guys remember, at Fastlane in 2023, this book right here was, that PLE was the first PLE that I wrote in this new book of mine. I'll even show you guys, or at least attempt to show you. Literally right here at the bottom, it says Judgment Day versus Jey and Cody for the undisputed tag team titles. That match was absolutely crazy. That literally kicked off the show, and it ended with Seth Rollins defeating Shinsuke Nakamura in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight title. So think about that, guys. Think about that. The fact that Jey and Cody were once tag team champions. They competed inside War Games together, and Jey even also helped Cody become a WWE champion. Proves that Cody Rhodes can trust Jey Uso, and Jey Uso can trust Cody Rhodes. But the question is, can John Cena trust Logan Paul? after what we saw this past Friday night on SmackDown, Logan Paul literally shoving John Cena like that. I think it's safe to say that John Cena, I don't think he can trust Logan Paul. I think it's the fact that Logan Paul for throughout his entire time in WWE, except for WrestleMania 38, in Dallas, it was all about him. It was all about him in singles competition, and he's won out of all of his matches. He has won at least 80% of his matches. In fact, the ones that he's lost were against I think, oh my god, were against Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. And if I know that he lost both of his elimination chamber matches. He's gotten eliminated from both of the men's Royal Rumble matches that he's been a part of. So he's had a lot of success, but he's lost quite a few matches. So his win and loss rate is basically 50-50 at this point. I know I said 80%, but it's practically 50-50 at this point. So there's definitely a lot to unpack with this whole ordeal. But if I had to pick, I think based on what happened on SmackDown this past Friday, I gotta go with Jey and Cody. I think Cody Rhodes needs to regain the WWE title, and the only way to do that is by pinning John Cena this Saturday at Money in the Bank. Is it possible? 100%. It is 100% possible, but we will have to wait and see this Saturday. Can't wait. It's going to be crazy. Which then brings us to the men's and women's Money in the Bank ladder matches. You guys already know how this works. Money in the Bank, climb the ladder, grab the briefcase, and you're guaranteed a title shot for up. You are guaranteed a title shot anytime, anywhere for up to a year. You know how it works. This year's combatants will feature Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, Seth freaking Rollins, Andrade. And on the men's side, again, this is on the men's side, and of all people, El Grande Americano or Chad Gable. Chad Gable will be pulling double duty this Saturday as he gets Vikingo for the AAA Mega Championship at Worlds Collide, and then of course Money in the Bank in the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. And on the women's side, you've got Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Julia, Naomi, and the newest acquisition to the Raw roster, Stephanie Valkyrie. These two matches are by far the most stacked ladder matches in history because on the men's side of things, five of the six have been a part of NXT. Solo, LA Knight, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and of course Chad Gable portraying himself as El Grande Americano. I have a feeling that with Gable's match with Vikingo this Saturday, this is definitely gonna prove Michael Cole's theory right, that Chad Gable really is El Grande Americano. And then of course on the women's side, everybody on this card in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match has been a part of NXT at one point in their careers, and out of all of them, only 4 of them are former NXT Women's Champions. That being Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Julia, and Stephanie Vaquer. Oh, and Stephanie Vaquer. Alexa Bliss and Naomi are the only two that got called up to the main roster from NXT and became WWE Women's Champion on numerous occasions. So there's definitely a lot. There's definitely a lot to unpack with this whole ordeal. As far as the women's side goes, obviously Alexa Bliss has had her issues with Naomi. Stephanie Vaquer had an incredible match against Julia at Roadblock earlier this year. Rhea Ripley and Roxanne Perez had a few fights as well. And as far as the men's side goes, I don't think any. I think the only ones that have ever had beef with anybody were Andrade and LA Knight having beef with Solo Sikoa and the New Bloodline. Other than that, everyone else is basically new to one another. So this is definitely going to determine who wants it more. And as far as the men's side goes, the odds-on favorite definitely is both LA Knight and Seth Rollins, just because of the fact that Seth Rollins has been on a hot streak since winning the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania against both CM Punk and Roman Reigns, obviously turning heel in the process, which we were not expecting that whatsoever. We did not think Seth Rollins would ever turn heel again, but obviously it was bound to happen at some point. LA Knight, he's always been a fan. He's always been a fan favorite for so long. Can't really go wrong with that. But the dark horses in this match definitely are Penta and El Grande Americano, and the reason being is because with El Grande Americano, Chad Gable has had quite a few opportunities at the Money in the Bank ladder match, but this is the first time that he's bringing in El Grande Americano competing in this match. So imagine if El Grande does win. What happened? What happens if El Grande Americano wins by using that plate in his mask? Oh my god, it is going to be hell on earth. And it's the same thing with Solo Sikoa. If he wins that Money in the Bank briefcase, then he has a chance to bring that title back home to the family and become arguably become a much more dominant champion than Roman Reigns. But I feel like the wild card in this whole in this match is Penta, because of the fact that Penta has been very dominant since he joined the Raw roster back in January earlier this year. He had an incredible performance at WrestleMania. He had an incredible match against Dirty Dom at Backlash. I think this Saturday might be the night that Penta will truly shine as a major player on Monday Night Raw. And it's the same thing on the women's side. I think Julia and Stephanie Vaquer have the opportunity to truly showcase what they're capable of to the entire world in this ladder match. And funny enough, out of every single one of these women, Rhea Ripley, actually Naomi and Alexa Bliss are the only ones that have ever been in ladder matches before. The rest of them have never ever been in a ladder match ever in their career. So there's definitely a lot that right there is a lot to consider. But if I had to pick who wins, that's a bit of a tough one. But I would have to say on the women's side, I'm stuck between Rhea Ripley and Julia. And on the men's side, I'm stuck between Seth Rollins and LA Knight. But if I had to pick one, but among those four, if I had to pick one from each side of the spectrum, I think it would have to be Rhea Ripley and Seth Rollins. And the only reason why is because I feel like Seth has an opportunity to do what only three people can stake claim to ever doing, and that is winning a second Money in the Bank ladder match. Obviously, Edge was the first person to do it. CM Punk was the first to go back to back, which was pretty cool. Miz obviously being the third, but the big difference is that Edge. The only difference is that CM Punk went back to back. They didn't, he didn't win it 1 year and then waited a few years and then win it again. He went back to back. So Seth Rollins has a chance to be the fourth person to win a second Money in the Bank ladder match, but he also has the chance to be the first person to pull off the heist of the century, if you will, at WrestleMania. So it's possible, but at this point now, CM Punk is just gonna end up costing Seth Rollins. So it has to be LA Knight. There, I said it. I think LA Knight is gonna win it. And on that note, that will do it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you guys smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel and you guys want more premium live event predictions and results in the future, then be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and be sure to follow me on all my social media. All of my ads will be in the description below, as will the info to my fan mail. It will also be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.